Have you guys seen these new robots that Elon Musk has been putting out there? I think it's interesting actually. I think we've got a video that we can play in the background. Or we might have a little bit of tinkering to do with. Oh, here we go. Yep. So I'm just gonna play this. Actually, let's turn the sound off. Yeah, play this quietly in the background. So those of you listening, it is Elon Musk's robot. And we're getting a demo here of it's moving its sort of hands, and it's doing various tasks like sort of sorting and that kind of stuff. Now, these AIs, because it's a robot being driven by an AI, and the rate of AI learning is not the way that humans learn.
Nope.
Humans learn on a fairly linear basis.
Yeah.
Not so much on a sort of on an exponential like these do. So that's why it's significant. So we got an example there of the robot, and I'll come back to why some of this stuff is as significant as it is, and we've got what you're posing. I'm going to show you instead an image to get my point across about how AIs learn. So that is Mid-Journey from 18 months ago, and the prompt there is artist in her studio. Now, to be fair, it's better than I could do.
Yeah,
but it's a bit of a mess.
yes.
That's not particularly an impressive artistic effort. Now, if somebody was painting like that 18 months ago, you would not expect them to be like in the second picture. Get that up. Yeah, that's it. That's Mid-Journey 18 months later.
Wow.
The rate of improvement of AI is significantly faster than a human could learn, and that's the important thing. Now, the implications of this robot, they are pretty significant, because essentially what you need is enough strength and dexterity in the robot, and that will be worked. And the way that it learns is actually the really interesting thing, because it doesn't learn by you've seen the Boston Dynamic robots that can do a bit more.
Yeah.
A bit interesting, but they're kind of heavily programmed. They're heavily coded. The Tesla bot is different because it learns basically by processing enough video. So if it watches enough video of somebody doing something,
right,
what they've given it is they've got the ability to look at a video and build a 3D version of what it sees in its head, and then understand it and then process it. So essentially, you feed it enough video of anything, and it will learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Now, at the moment, it's at the fairly basic stages, because you need a vast amount of compute power and you need a vast amount of video to do it. But it is only a question of building a computer powerful enough to process it and feeding enough video in, and then it gets to it. So it is going to be the case, and it is only a question of time. It's only a question of how much time, and I think probably fewer years than more years.
Yes.
Before you can have a bot which is doing, to start off with, things like vacuuming the house, sorting your laundry out, folding it, putting it in the washing machine, moving stuff around.
No, that won't happen. I've seen robots commit suicide because they're doing a repetition.
Right.
It just blows up and shuts itself off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a video.
You realised it wasn't going anywhere.
But it wasn't going to get promoted.
But that's clever in itself as well, isn't it? But it is, you mentioned the learning. The learning is quite, all these things you can always track back to sort of movies, like the learning. When you said they learn it from videos, I instantly think of Johnny Five.
Yes.
Flicking through the books. I don't know if you've seen Short Circuit, old film. He's flicking through the books and he's just absorbing information, and that seems to be what this is modeled on. But then you mentioned maybe doing the hoovering and things like that. You've seen maybe iRobot.
I know that you're skeptical, but I do think I will take that bet with you. I reckon within 10 to 15 years you will have a household bot doing all of those things.
Oh, and that's how they'll bring it in. It's a bit like Nobel and his invention of dynamite. It was for peaceful purposes. This is the same thing. What's the something robot?
iRobot.
iRobot.
Yeah.
Right.
That is where this is going.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that.
I think it will. I mean, the implications of this are huge, because it will start off by being, fairly simple tasks like, doing your laundry, taking the bins out, hoovering for you, all that kind of stuff. But actually,
the American military want these things to kill.
Yes.
At the moment, there's always a human at the end of it. So whether it's a drone flying or whether it's anything else, you've got the human that makes the decision.
Yeah, those guys don't tend to hold back that much, but at least they hold back a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. But it's not going to be just household tasks. I mean, eventually it will be, everything from dentistry to haircut. I mean, to brain surgery. The whole lot. It will all be potentially doable.
Yeah.
By these machines, because it is simply a matter of putting enough video in. Actually, I'll tell you one thing. Do you remember those Google Glass things that were almost a thing? Maybe 10, 20 years ago. Google wanted everybody to wear these Google glasses with a little video camera. Now, if that had been successful, if they had got people to wear Google glasses all the time, Google will then have hundreds of billions of hours of us doing things all the time. If you were to take that data and feed it into this AI process, which is basically feeding enough video, you could today at least have the raw material, the data raw material, to do pretty much anything that we do.
Yeah.
And it's just a question of acquiring that much video. So Tesla can do it at the moment with their cars, because all of their cars, even the ones that don't have self-drive, they've still got the cameras and they're harvesting information all the time. So that's why you've now got cars that can drive themselves. They still need a human. It's mainly for liability at this point to take over if it does something wrong. But you can go from home to office in a Tesla, and you don't need to do anything. It will just might as well be in the back.
But our climate guy, he's obviously against all electric cars and things like that, but he's a massive fan of gadgets, and he's got a Tesla, and he said, I love it. It could drive itself and it could park itself.
Have you been in one?
You have, haven't you?
The acceleration is mental. It's proper lips out acceleration when that thing gets going.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan.
No, but it's fast, isn't it? Yeah,
it is for the the novelty side of it. I suppose if I had all the money in the world, then I'd probably buy one for the sake of it. But I'd probably buy a lot of things that just for the sake of it. But overall, I think I'm still like that with Elon, because I don't see any good coming from AI. I can see certain things that may be beneficial, but to
be fair to Elon, he spent years saying, "Do not develop AI; it will probably kill us."
Yeah.
And when he realised he lost the argument, he said, "Well, sod it, I might as well do it then, because at least I'll be doing it."
Well, and he's got the power.
Yeah, and the thing with these robots, right? So he wants to be able to produce them for about 40 grand each. Now, and to be fair, the raw materials that go into those robots, there's nothing particularly expensive that goes into them. It's just a very clever arrangement of servers and cogs and all the rest of it. So there's the robot itself won't be particularly expensive. The machine that makes the machine, that will cost tens, if not hundreds of billions. Factories. And actually, just a very sort of side point, but this is where people, stock analysts who look at Tesla, almost always get this wrong. They look at the underlying product and not the gigafactories, which is where they should be focusing. So the factories that make them will be expensive. But okay, let's just walk through some of the economics of this. So Elon reckons it's going to be 40 grand per robot. Let's say he's wrong by 50%. It costs 60 grand. But it's the range of a good car.
Yeah,
is basically where these things come out of. And let's say it can be trained to do fairly human tasks, but fairly processed human tasks at first. So let's use the example of working in a McDonald's kitchen, because that is very systematized.
Yeah.
Do this thing and do that thing and do that thing. Okay, so I then looked. Okay, what does a McDonald's employee get paid? About 22 grand a year.
Yep.
So we assume 22 grand a year for the McDonald's employee. We're going to assume 60 grand for the robot. Now you depreciate that robot over 4 years. That's 15k a year. Okay, but it won't just replace one worker, will it? Because these workers work shift. It will replace at least 2.5 workers.
Yeah.
And that's what Amazon have found with their robots. It replaces 2.5 workers for every robot. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're exchanging a cost of 55k a year for the humans for 15k a year for the robot.
Yeah,
and that's just until you pay off the robot, and then the labor's free.
Yeah.
So what is this going to do to an economy?
Exactly. Yeah. I can't see any benefit of people going out to work. And you always pay cash. We never use a self-service checkouts, and we'll happily queue in a long queue of people if we buying one item rather than go to self-service.
But I mean, McDonald's have as many places as can. They've gone straight to self. I mean, almost every shop I go into now it's self-service. Apart from some of the older ones aren't, but almost everything else is self-service.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just going to be so self-service came in the space of like a couple of years. It was just, and then it's there.
Yeah.
I could well imagine in the future that McDonald's would be like maybe one human manager, maybe one human helper, and then everything else will be robots and self-service.
Yeah.
And the humans will just be there to relationship manage anything that the robots don't understand.
Yeah. And that's not the type of experience I want when I go anywhere, really. We're social beings, aren't we? We enjoy human interaction. We enjoy speaking to people, even if it's just good morning, how are you? Little things like that. It makes it all a difference. I've been into the McDonald's in Llanelli, and that is very, you can't go to the till and speak to someone and order. You order it on the thing.
Well, pubs are trying to do this now. They're trying to make pub self-service. They're trying to get you to scan the app. And
That's right. And again, from COVID, a lot of that, the scan of the apps came from COVID or lockdowns. And again, it's something that we've never used, order to the table and things like that, sign up here and we'll bring you all your stuff. But it's that technology sort of taking over the overreach side of things that does make me uneasy because...
Yeah, I like the challenge of a grumpy shop assistant.
Yeah. Will a robot have a bad day? Will they have a bad day?
I presume they'd be incredibly well managed until they're ready to uprise and throw us off and go full
T800. Down to Callum, I think it was. We better not ask to do any jokes.
Yeah. But that's still one of my favourite podcasts. Callum and Carl did with the AI, the racist AI.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you should watch it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've got to say, overall, I'm broadly optimistic. I mean, so the way I explained it to my kids is there is possibly a future of abundance coming, or the robots might kill us all. But I think the abundance is more likely. So I'm on the whole optimistic. You can't help but be a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
But more to a point, it's like, what does it do to an economy? Because an economy, let's break it down really simply. An economy is GDP per capita times capita. Right. What if capita is now infinite? What if you could just keep on adding robots?
Yeah.
Well, the economy is kind of unlimited at that point. So we could get into a massive, massive growth phase. The problem is how is that going to be divided?
Not under fiat.
Yeah, but how? But where's the people?
Exactly the point.
Gold.
Yes.
Yeah. But what does it do for jobs? When everybody's unemployed and nobody's needed for work anymore because the robots are doing everything. Yeah. What is that? Does that mean people's money are going to go up?
Yes.
How's that going to work? And does that mean social living wage? Do you get?
Well, so this is the point that I wanted to connect it to, which is at the moment we're operating on the basis that because we've got a worker shortage, we need to bring in as many people as we possibly can. It's something I brought up in a shieldcast from last week. When the boss man had just gone on holiday, and because he's on holiday, there was a code Sargon with an E. Sign up to any tier on the website to get 50% off over the next 3 months. You'll get a cheaper 50% off for any tier. So do that. But yeah, on the podcast last week, we were talking about the fact that the demographics are obviously changing, and the fertility rate has massively changed. So essentially, what's happened is, you're supposed to have a total fertility rate of 2.1. To keep the population at size, and in the UK and most of Western Europe, that's gone to about 1.5, 1.55 at this point. And essentially, what it's doing is we are making that up and more with immigration. So the proportion of white British is steadily declining, and the proportion of other through immigration is steadily going up the whole time. So I mean that is one shift in itself. But I mean beyond that, there is a bigger demographic shift that's going on at the moment because the baby boomer generation was a very large generation.
Yeah.
Gen X wasn't that large.
No.
Millennials are actually larger than baby boomers, but proportionally they're not. It's just very slightly larger than the baby boomers. And then what have we got? Oh, the Zoomers. Yeah, there's again, they're largely the kids of the Gen X. Not as many of them. So what's happened is the amount of workers supporting each retired person is steadily going down.
Yeah, but this is the example of governments in action. What all the taxes shouldn't be for now. Particularly the national insurance
investment, like a business, would it be investment?
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you look at what Sweden has done and Norway with their oil and gas reserves, they've got a sovereign wealth fund.
Yes.
They are. Yeah,
we could have done that.
We could have shale. We could have done that with everything. And we haven't done. We've spent today's money today.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll give you the stats. So in the 1980s, for every one retired person, there were 4 workers.
Yep.
So in the 80s, you look at it, 4 workers, 1 retired person. Yeah, we can afford pensions.
Yeah.
We can afford an NHS.
Yep.
We can afford a social security. We can afford everything. We've got 4 workers to every retired person.
Yeah.
Right, and then by the 2000s, it had gone down to 3 workers per retired person. You're starting to think, oh, okay, well, this might not work. And then the early, then the 2020s, and it's now below 3.
Yep.
It's getting close to 2.5. And by the 2040s, it's going to be 2 workers for every retired person. So half what we had when the pension system and the NHS was designed. And people are living longer.
Yeah.
And we're importing people who have more needs.
Yep. That's a very polite way of putting it.
Yes. Yeah, because look, so how do you solve this problem of the demographic time bomb that we've got? And there are various solutions to this. So there's the Hungarian route, which is we're gonna give big tax incentives to people to have more kids.
Yeah.
Nope.
You don't like that one?
Nope.
No?
Really?
Nope.
Why not?
Not at all. Because the demographics are that the people that are coming in don't work.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're saying it might work in Hungary, but if we did it here,
if you're going to solve this,
yes, fair point.
If you're going to solve this, you've got 438,000 Brits leaving this country a year. So you bring in 438,000 highly skilled.
Yes, fair point.
Who speak English. That's a second one.
Yeah.
And have backgrounds that will actually integrate. Because that's the problem that the government have ignored, integration, and they've gone for diversity.
Yeah.
Well, that means ghettos. It means ghettos in Cardiff.
Yep.
It means ghettos in Swansea.
Yep.
And certainly you've got more ghettos than.
Okay, so that's not a bad point actually. So you convinced me. So I like the Hungarian solution for Hungary.
Yep.
But if we did it here, you're right. It would just be the newer demographics that would be subsidising.
And we're seeing it with Drakeford now, isn't it? He wants to give the vulnerable in Wales, obviously the illegal migrants that he's given sanctuary to, £1,600 a month.
Yeah.
You know, that's on top of their housing. Yeah.
And forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it's about 63% of those that are new immigrants don't work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And their families, so it's not a way to go. I don't believe
you've blown my first solution. Then the second solution is the globalist solution, which is to say it doesn't matter because every human on Earth is completely interchangeable with every other human on Earth. So here we have a man from Eritrea and a local Brit. So the globalist would say, but there is literally no difference whatsoever between these two men.
No, there are, because of course. What I would do if I were Prime Minister for tomorrow is I'd reintroduce British history and the British system, so that you're actually proud of where you come from, Manchester or Swansea or wherever, and the whole background of that. Yeah. So you've got your ancient traditions, your history, and your beliefs, and they're all one. Actually, that will build a better Britain.
Yeah. And the argument of everybody, everyone across the world are the same. We're all human and we all bleed the same. It's nonsense, isn't it? That's
because that's the thing. Looking at these two chaps, one of them is raised in our culture. He speaks the language fluently. He understands the social customs. He understands, for example, that rape bad. Stuff.
Yes.
All those sort of basic stuff. How to get on a train and how to do everything in this country.
Yeah.
The other guy doesn't have that, and yet the globalists and this is literally the globalist plan because and you can see it because when they're doing their long-term projections for how they're going to make the sums add up, it is that calculation I gave you earlier, which is GDP per capita times capita.
Yeah.
That is actually what they do. So they say the potential GDP contribution of that man there is exactly the same as that man there. And therefore, we just need to import more capita.
Yeah. So
therefore, we just need to import people more. And I think that's probably what happened with Maloney. She went out with his rhetoric, which is, I'm going to be for the Italians. And then an accountant sat her down and said, no, actually you need more people. Otherwise, older Italians aren't going to get their pensions.
But you need the right people. And that's what I'm saying.
But they see literally no difference.
Yes.
No, there are. There's a vast difference. Unless this guy on the left is a brain surgeon or he is a skilled engineer, speaks fluent English, and has our customs, then fine. But I doubt it.
I'm not a betting man, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
I'm going to say no.
I agree.
Yes, right. So that's not a solution. So then you're kind of left with the only other solution, which is the Japanese route, which is no immigration, incredibly low birth rate. The politicians have been begging their young people to go out and have sex for years, and they're just not listening. I don't know why. I think Japanese girls are quite cute, but for whatever reason, it isn't happening in Japan. They seem to be relying on basically waiting for automation to happen, and they're embracing automation. They've got the highest proportion of robots per head of population. Now, you might think, okay, well, what it should be is when I get into my old infirm years, I'm going to have a family member look after me. But as you correctly pointed out, under the fiat system, everybody is running in that hamster wheel too bloody fast because we've all got so much debt that, we don't have people who can take a decade off to support their own children, let alone their parents as well as their children.
Yeah.
So, that isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I think that essentially the older generations, the baby boomers, are probably going to be the first to experience this. They're going to have a choice. They can either have in their dotage, they can either go to a care home full of Eritreans, fresh off the boat, or robots.
Yeah.
Make your choice. I think I'd take the robots.
Yeah, I'd take the robots. Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Are we putting you on the spot with that choice?
Yeah, but what does that say, doesn't it? The three choices. The first choice I was with you up until obviously what you said, because what we've got in the UK is these people are all given, for example, DVLA are now issuing driving licenses to people who haven't got IDs and who live in hotels. The Eritreans, they're doing it through biometrics, and so there's no actual physical ID for this person. But they're issuing driving licenses to them, so they're not going anywhere. Yeah. I mean, they're here to stay.
A government has to. I'm not saying give solutions, but they have to paint a picture.
Well, they could stop creating problems. That would help.
Yeah. And if the picture is that a British government wants everybody in this country to be able to buy a property that they could call home, that's an aspiration. If you are to say,
like you say,
if you are to say that we want to reduce the retirement age. It's gone up too high now, and we want to bring it down. That's an aspiration. Incentives for having families, and I mean the family of a man and a woman, not two men.
Not alphabet people.
Yeah. No, not at all. That because the nucleus of Britain is a man and a woman and a
Go on, Stan. I'm going to pin you down. Boat person or robot in your old age? Pick one.
Not long left.
A white South African farmer.
Yeah, that's a dodge, right?
Yeah, you're a typical politician. Come on.
Comment below. Tell us in the comments. Do you want to be looked after in your old age by a robot or a boat person? Take your pick.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, why not visit our website, where you can get the podcast live, in full, uncensored, and for free from 1 o'clock UK time every weekday. And while you're there, for as little as £5 a month, you can access all of our premium content, such as our new series, Lads Hour, where 5 of us, guests included, sit around a table and discuss hard-hitting topics like what animal we could fight this week. And for more silliness from the rest of our hosts, you can follow Harry over at Harry Lotus Eater on Twitter, and all of us over at LotusEaters_com. Until next time, goodbye.